This is BMI Redefined with Jen and Mo.
All right.
Welcome, everybody, back to BMI Redefined with
Jen
and Mo. We're so glad you guys are here with us today. And I'm going to have Jen actually introduce our guest today.
Okay, we are so excited to have Winona Avenue Band with us today. It is David and Daniel Deputy. They are brothers living in Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and so Mo and I have been listening to some of your songs, and they are really resonating with us. I mean, you guys have a strong message to share, and we want to talk about kind of what inspires you to write and kind of what the history of Winona Avenue is. Like, how did you guys get started as a band?
So, like you said, we're brothers. So I was actually forced to know him. He's my brother. Yeah. But yeah, so we actually started under a different name. We used to be called Blank Pages. And we just changed our name to Winona Avenue at the beginning of 2019. So he was a drummer and I was a vocalist for Blank Pages since probably about 2010, 2011. And I was in Blank Pages since I was in middle school. So that's how we got started. But then we had a different drummer until about 2010, 2011, and our drummer left. So then we needed a drummer, and we had our biggest show ever. It was for this conference with like 2,000 people. Drummer
Biggest
suddenly
at the
left.
time.
Yeah, well, it's still to this day one of our biggest
Yeah,
concerts we ever played. I have no idea how we got this concert. We were just a local band playing around town, and our booking agent at the time was able to give us this concert up in Michigan. So I told David, we need a drummer. He had been playing for the worship team. He was it would be a compliment to even call him an average drummer at the time.
I was awful. I was terrible.
But I'm like, hey, we need you to learn this stuff. Can you practice 24 hours a day? No, 30 hours a day, if that's possible. And so he literally went in the garage every day, played the drums, and he completely nailed the show. So that was really the first concert we ever did together. I don't know if you've ever like seen us live, like videos online or whatever, but he like into the music like crazy. But
Yeah.
in that particular concert, he was an absolute stick, just like just barely playing,
I was
like
just barely
concentrating.
hanging on.
Yeah. So we were Blank Pages for 2-3 more years, or really a long time after that. So we played concerts for about 2 or 3 more years, and we took a break with Blank Pages. Came back as Blank Pages, but we lost our other members. It was just us two, and we were touring with some other members, and we kind of knew we needed to change, but we wanted to get back out and playing concerts. I had just finished college, and I'm like, if we're gonna be doing the music thing, right now is the time to do it. So we kept playing concerts, but then we officially changed our name at the beginning of last year to Winona Avenue, and now it's just me and David, the brother band.
It's a pretty cool name. Where did you come up with the name?
We grew up on a road called Winona Drive. I think it was the first house I ever lived in, probably both of us, because I think our parents moved there right after our oldest brother was born, and it was Winona Drive. I almost said Winona Avenue. But we ended up going with Winona Avenue because there was a production company who went by the name Winona Drive. And although production company and bands are different things, and we probably could have gone with the name, we do some production as well, and we didn't want there to be any confusion, and we didn't want to step on anybody's toes, so we decided to go with Winona Avenue.
One big problem we had under our old name, Blank Pages, and one of the primary reasons we actually changed our name was because my friend back in like 5th grade like flipped to the back of like a Bible in youth group, and it was a blank page, and that's how he created the name. But he did no research to make sure there was no other existing Blank Pages.
Right.
And whenever I joined the band, I had no idea either. And then we found out there was already a band called Blank Pages. And then after we took the name, like 3 other bands worldwide called themselves, and it just wasn't original. It just seems like a really common name. And then what would happen when you go to Google, you would find our website, you would find the 10 other bands called Blank Pages. And the biggest problem was when you go to something like Spotify, our music would be mixed in with theirs. And I think Spotify's actually fixed that. But at the time, it was an issue. We're like, oh, you would do the Blank Pages radio, and it would be our song, then another song. So we wanted a name that was unique to us and that we didn't think anyone else was going to take. Was a lot of it.
Right.
So that's why we came up with Winona Avenue instead of Winona Drive, which we really wanted to be Winona Drive. Winona Avenue, I actually like that better now, looking back at it. So it all.
Winona Avenue has a nice ring to it.
It does. It flows. Yeah.
Could you share the inspiration of the song Masterpiece?
Yeah, absolutely. So the song is about how we believe all people are created beautifully. We believe all people are created for a purpose. And we think that whenever you look into the mirror, you're witnessing a masterpiece. So anytime, a lot of times we make up lies inside of our heads where we think we're not good enough. We think we're not capable. Maybe we feel like we're not meeting expectations of others, or maybe it's something like we don't feel smart enough or strong enough or good looking enough or whatever it may be. We believe these are all lies we're making up inside of our minds and we're not seeing ourselves clearly. I assume you saw the music video for
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what that was about. It was about the girl who goes through times, and the first scene, she's in the classroom looking at the mirror and she's not seeing her reflection in the mirror. It's just an empty mirror, even though it's clearly pointed at her. And she gets a test and it's like a C-, and she feels like she has no future. She feels like she's not smart enough. And she keeps going through times like that. The next one, she is in an arcade, and that's kind of her high school job. And there's a skee ball machine that's broken. And there's a boy and his mom were on the skee ball machine, and they're not happy that the tickets aren't coming out of the machine. So she goes over there, has no idea how to help, gets yelled at, is not happy about it, feels like she's not meeting those expectations of the customer. Goes to the crane machine next to it and looks in her reflection, and you can tell her reflection's there, but she's not seeing herself correctly. And it goes through situations like that throughout the video. But then there's a turning point where there's like a school dance going on, and she goes into the women's restroom, and it's just like the final straw. Like, I don't know what's going on right now, but then she looks into the mirror, which there is no reflection in the mirror, and the reflection slowly fades in, and she realizes, I am a masterpiece, and because I'm a masterpiece, I'm going to do amazing things. And she goes out, and we kind of go back to each part in the song that we already had. So she goes back to the classroom, she's looking at the mirror, and her reflection is there, and then she gets a test back. It's an A+ this time. And it's just like the truth. Like, we went through the lies beforehand, and now it's the truth. She is seeing herself correctly. She's seeing her reflection and who she really is. And then, for instance, the arcade, she goes and gets a stuffed animal, and she brings a stuffed animal to the customer, to the boy and the mom, and they're super happy about it. And it's because she knows, I am a masterpiece. I am already enough, and I can do these amazing things because of that.
And the song also really hits home for us, and we also have people that we're really close to that we know that struggle with their self-image and self-worth, and this song kind of addresses that. And it's an issue that a lot of people have, and it's a message that we think a lot of people need to hear.
Yes, true. And that just so resonates with us. When I saw that, the Masterpiece video and the whole story, is that's what Mo and I were talking about, even starting the podcast months and months and months ago. And we were trying to say, well, what message are we trying to get across? And it's really about perspectives and perceptions. You know, what do we see when we look in the mirror is exactly what we were talking about. What do others see? And are we projecting the kind of perspective or perception of ourselves that we want others to see, or that we want to see ourselves? And also kind of what's behind the facade. You know, we may even looking in a mirror, well, you know, I was in a really bad car wreck and I've got scars and all that kind of stuff, but that's what I see. But other people don't even notice those, you know? And so it's kind of, what do we see in ourselves? And really, you know, what's deeper inside? And your songs just really, really resonate with us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, they're just great. My question to you is how did you decide on your style? of music?
So we grew up loving pop punk bands.
Mhm.
The 2000s, I don't know how familiar you are, but the Blink-182s, bands like that. If you've heard of Yellow Card, Sum 41, Simple Plan,
Yeah.
Good Charlotte, those were the bands we loved. And whenever I wanted to be a musician when I was younger, those were the bands I was listening to way back when with my CD player on the bus with my CD case. And I would come back home after school and turn on the TV and watch MTV. I don't even think MTV was showing music videos, but it was some other channel like Fuse or something, and they'd have like a pop punk hour where they play bands like that, you know, the bands we loved growing up.
Yeah.
It's funny, off topic, we were laughing about the CD thing, but I remember our very first music teacher that we ever had, we learned on cassette tapes. How that's like, that was how he listened to music, and we had to go find like a cassette player to be able to like learn how to play instruments.
I think he gave me a cassette tape and he's like, hey, listen to this. I'm like, what is this and how do I
Sorry, I have ADD, so we'll get like sidetracked real easy during it.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Anymore though, I like a variety of music, but the biggest thing we wanted to do with Winona Avenue is create our own sound. We feel like in the past we wanted to be Blink-182 back in 2008 or 2007. That was our goal. We're like, even though there's already a Blink-182, we're going to be Blink-182 #2. That was our goal. And then I realized that after talking to people and after realizing we need to be us, you know,
yeah,
we create our own sound. Lyrically, we have inspirations from bands. I don't know if you've heard of Switchfoot.
Oh, I love Switchfoot.
Yeah, bands that their goal is to provide a positive message and to encourage. And that's kind of along the lines of what we want to do with our music. And then musically, I like anything from like modern rock, alternative rock to like pop music. So I think we probably fit somewhere in between.
I think you do.
Oh, like my kids right now, all they're listening to is rap.
That's something I'm not too inspired by.
I can listen to that.
But I've been listening to a lot of it lately. And when I get in the car, that's all they want to turn up. I think they know that it's not really my favorite. It's like, hey, listen to this one. I'm like, okay. And they crank it up even more. So I can feel the hoo.
I bet if you acted like you like it, they would stop cranking it.
Right. I don't know. Maybe not.
Get really into it.
Yeah.
So I have one client, a workout client, is a friend of my daughter's, who wants to work out to Eminem. So, I mean, that's like, that's way out there. You would have to like close your ears on some of the word choices too, but that's what that's totally its own genre.
I did send your song to them. I said, hey, listen to this.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
Exactly. So, Jen, do you want to ask another question?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of just like, I've been watching all your music videos, and that, was it the song, The Future Me?
Yeah, that was the one we released back in January.
How did that come about?
So the video or the song or both?
Both. I just want to
hear.
Yeah, like, you know, like Future Path and Crossroads in your own lives. I mean,
it did. Yeah, is it some experience that you've had that led to that?
So when I write, I actually don't write about my personal experiences, which is unique because most artists write about something they've been through or something their friend or family's been through. For me, I don't really write about anything I personally experienced. Typically, I don't write about that or anyone I know experienced. I see what people experience in general, and I create these ideas inside of my head. Like, for instance, for Masterpiece, I know people go through times, me included, and everyone I know, where they don't feel like they're good enough. So I think to myself, how can I positively impact people that are going through that? So it's not like a personal experience, but Future Me is
although in the writing, it's not necessarily about something, you know, that we necessarily are thinking about us. But it's funny after the songs are written how much I guess I can't speak for him, but how much, it ends up relating to something that we have been through, or something that we end up going through later.
Or that can identify with. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So future me, to kind of go along with the video. So there is a kid skateboarder. We were very lucky that we found him because he was really young and he could skateboard very well.
He's insane.
Very good.
So he was gonna be the next Tony Hawk. That was his goal in the video. And then something happened. We don't really go into detail in the video. We kind of leave it pretty vague. But he got injured and he was not able to be the next Tony Hawk. That, whether he was injured too badly or whether it just didn't work out. But then you see the future version of him, and he's with his wife and his son, and he thinks back to how, man, I wouldn't have been so devastated back then if I know how things would have worked out today. And that's really what the song is about. If he would have been the next Tony Hawk, then maybe he doesn't have the time to devote to meeting his future wife, and maybe their paths just don't cross. So it's about just wondering why I was so devastated and just trusting that everything's going to work out in the end.
Right.
And it's really about how sometimes you think you have everything figured out, but it's not always how it goes, and you just have to trust that everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. It's like and actually meeting up with people, or like you mentioned, crossing paths. There are no coincidences. I mean, I believe that there's always a purpose for who meets, whose paths cross, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is it like to work as a band during the pandemic?
So what's funny, we were actually booking what was supposed to be a pretty large tour, and before the pandemic happened. And so we had a lot of festivals booked, and we had several other like anchor dates booked. And so then we were actually sending out emails to get to and from each one of those dates. And we sent out, I don't know a lot of emails to, I would say we were working on the first 6 or 7, maybe 8 states that we would be going through. Sent all those emails out. And then I think within, I don't know, maybe 2 days, things got really crazy with the pandemic really fast, and like things started shutting down. Like the NBA announced that they were canceling their season, and we're big sports fans, so that was like probably the first thing where we were like, I think this is serious. Like, I don't know if this tour is going to happen. So before anyone could even respond, we sent the emails out trying to book shows. And then by the time it, ended up in these people's inboxes and they were reading it, I got a couple responses that were like, we should probably wait and see what happens with this. And so fast forward, pretty much all of our events canceled. We did just a couple small and or private events where, for the most part, they were doing some social distancing. And but yeah, I mean, it slowed us down live pretty much to a halt. But at the same time, like he mentioned, when we're not on the road touring, we do have jobs to make a living and feed ourselves and our families. So it's nice. We were actually, it's not nice, but it's nice. We were actually laid off from that job at the gym. And the nice part about it is it's given us time to really sit down and work on the band and the business side of that, and the music and promotional stuff, which has been a blessing, really, in the middle of kind of a storm, I guess you could say.
It's definitely affected our live concerts, but I think just the behind the scenes stuff, it's not affected too much. Like, we're still able to be here and have this interview with you. It's definitely affected. What I would say the most important part of what we do is performing live. But besides that, everything's still pretty normal.
Yeah. And you learn to adapt. you know,
Yeah, exactly.
you learn to.
So, okay, so I recently went to a drive-in concert here in St. Louis. Do you guys have any of those events that you're thinking about doing?
At the moment, we're not actively booking anything. If someone came to us and said, "Hey, we want to book you for either this tour or this show," and it's a drive-in event, and they're able to follow the guidelines that have been put out by states and the government, then yeah, we'd be open to it. But right now, we kind of have our sights set on 2021, I think.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, staying busy on the road takes actually a lot of time ahead of time to book. Usually we like to be, 6 months or 8 months ahead.
Right.
So book the concerts in, and then 6-8 months later we perform. So I think we're just, like you said, focusing on 2021 and hoping that the virus is gone. That's our hope.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We're
all hoping.
Especially as musicians, we're like the super spreaders,
Yeah, the first one's canceled and we'll be the last ones back, I think.
I know, absolutely. I know. While you've been home and been together through this time, have you been collaborating with maybe some new videos that you might be coming out with?
So we do have another video coming up. It's a lyric video and a single, and we actually haven't announced it. So if any of our fans are listening, this is our first official announcement. A new single called Beautiful Beginning coming out in about a month. But it takes a little bit of time to get things ready. So we just determined the release date a couple days ago. It'll be about a month from now.
Awesome.
So we have that, and then we have some other plans, but our next major project, music video wise, we're hoping to do this winter. But we're still definitely in the very early planning process of that.
Okay.
So besides that, really the last couple months has been all about Masterpiece, the one we just released.
Yeah, wow, that
just blew
it
me
was
away.
so cool. It was such a good video.
Yeah, we went all out on that one. So we wanted to make sure we were able to promote it and have it reach as many people as possible, and that's kind of been a lot of what we've been working on here the last couple months.
Right. Do you do a lot of your editing and all of that, or do you have a team that does it, or do you guys do all of it?
So we really didn't have enough people to pull off what we did for Masterpiece. So a little bit of backstory. I said, we filmed it at our work, but we had to film it in one night because we really weren't able to be there whenever they were open, for customers, not get in the way of their business or anything.
Not to mention our crew cuts us a killer deal. They work with guys who are big time, and we're just not that bit like he does a lot of like Trace Atkins videos.
Oh wow.
I think that's one of his main clients that's really a big time artist, and we don't have a Trace Atkins budget, and so we have to do a lot of things to really we have to do a lot of the legwork and make the time that the crew has to spend keep it minimum. And one of the ways we do that is one location, one night, and just hope and pray that we get it done.
Yeah, we barely had enough time. So thankfully we were able to get in a little bit early. We asked about a week before, and we used like the parking lot scene and the fitness center when it wasn't too busy while they were still open.
Okay.
But yeah, we went pretty much nonstop from 3 p.m. to the next morning. I remember finishing up our run through at like 9 or 10 in the morning.
At least.
And I remember I was at the front desk. I think I was like returning some name tags or shirts that we borrowed for the video. And I remember one of the managers showing up, and I know her because I work there too.
Right.
And like she just woke up, has her coffee, is getting there in the morning, and I'm like, I haven't slept yet. I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I still here?
We had some other amazing volunteers who also had not slept yet and were leaving to go to their jobs during the day. So we had some really cool people help us make that happen.
I think we had a crew of about maybe 6 to 8. So we had the director and the director of photography. So basically the cameraman and the director, they were together and shooting scene after scene, almost no breaks. So they would go to one place in the building, shoot the scene, go to the next place, shoot that. And then our production designer was usually 1 or 2 locations ahead, setting the scene. So making the conference room look like the 80s style classroom, and then setting up the decorations in the gym for the school dance scene. Thankfully, we had some other volunteers help with that as well, because that was actually a lot. There were a lot more balloons on the ground than you could probably even see in the video. And then David, you were pretty much stuck at the stage the whole night until we performed.
Yeah, me and our main production guy we take on the road, what his name's Weston, we spent pretty much the whole time setting up the stage, the lights, the sound, concert area.
Cool.
Then we had a makeup artist that was kind of helping out the actors, and then we had one other person helping out, kind of directing, because it was a really big building, so directing actors where to go, doing paperwork.
My beautiful fiance took that job, so she was directing everybody where to go, and making sure people were where they needed to be, doing what they needed to be doing.
And then I didn't do anything because I'm a diva. I just sat there and watched everyone. No. So all I remember that night, I was so busy, I had a red folder with a super long to-do list. And just little things like providing the food to the people that needed it, that we agreed to give food to, make sure the paperwork got done, bringing all the props to one location and the next location. It was all stuff I thought I wouldn't be that busy, and then I just got behind, and it was just an absolutely crazy night, but somehow we pulled it off. Barely enough time. So.
That's not, but isn't the rush of it and the fun of putting it together, isn't it just like adrenaline?
Yeah, we had been working on the whole idea for about 3 months before that. So it was definitely cool to actually be there and get it done.
And then when it was done, did you guys crash? I'm sure, it's like after doing a show, you're done.
I don't remember, so I assume I was sleeping. Yeah.
I can't remember. I think I had like 2 or 3 hours to sleep, and I had to like do something that day. It was
right.
I probably slept for about 48 hours after.
Right.
I don't remember for sure.
It was worth it.
It was totally worth it. Well, you gave us a masterpiece. It was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. So, in your opinion, what makes a song stick around for so long? Like, what is it about your music that you want people to hear and to recognize, like long after you're gone?
Well, first off, we think that the musical side of things is obviously important. We want to write a song that we enjoy listening to is probably the first step. Then after we like it, we need to make sure everyone else likes it too. So hopefully they respond well and they like it. But the third and probably the most important thing for us is the lyrical content, just having the opportunity to lift other people up, to encourage others, and to have a positive impact on the listener's life, whatever the listener may be going through. So I think it's a combination of those 3 things: music we like, music that people like, and just the lyrical content of it as well.
Cool. And I just wanted to just ask you guys, did you said you went to school, you went to college. Did you go for music or anything, or did you do something else?
No, I didn't. I didn't know what I wanted to do except for being in a band. That was it, like in high school. So I went for general studies just because my parents wanted me to go to college. I really didn't care at all my first year and a half, 2 years. I actually took a lot of online classes when we were touring. And I would just try to get it done as fast as I could in our free time. But then whenever we took a break from our previous band Blank Pages, I actually went on campus to a school called IUPUI and took business classes. Because I decided, hey, I could actually learn something from this and help with the band as well and help with music. So I took the business, and I figured I'm going to school anyways to get my degree.
Yeah, might as well do it.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, David?
So I always tell people I did 2 years at this small community college called Ivy Tech. And I always tell people it's Ivy Tech, home of the fighting GEDs.
There you go. That's funny.
And I just did general studies.
Good. That's all that matters.
It was a start.
no, it's good. It's good. And, you know, you get to do really what you love as well. So, yep. And there's my dog behind us, but that's okay. How that happens. Okay. And anything else, Jen?
Well, just kind of what would you like to leave our viewers and listeners with as kind of a message from the band, Winona Avenue, and something that you want to have them think about?
Well, please make sure to check out our music. Would be the first thing, and just know that, like I said, for Masterpiece, know that you are a masterpiece. Know that even if you don't feel like you are good enough, don't let those lies get inside of your head. Make sure to see yourself clearly, and you can do amazing things because of that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
That's great. Thank you. Well, David, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was good to be here. Thanks again.
Oh, thank you. We're so glad. I'm so glad Jen stumbled upon you. So maybe someday we can come to one of your concerts.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.